was a weird month. September was a better reading month for me than August was. It was still a lot less than in previous months, but I'm pretty happy with it. So the very first book I read was the shortest book that I could find, essentially, and that was Herbs for Magic and Ritual, A Beginner's Guide by Teresa Moorey. This came off of my partner's shelves. I don't think he's ever actually read it. I was intrigued, I was curious. It was non-fiction as well, which I was really leaning towards at the beginning of the month. Not one that I would recommend, but I had a perfectly fine time reading it. Some of it is just about using plants as medicinal, helpful, like, you know, their properties, and that is great. So, very interesting little read. Not much else to say. The next book that I finished was Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdes, which took me for bloody ever, and I don't know why, because oh my gosh, I loved this book. This is the first book in a space opera series, and we follow, what is her name? I am atrocious with names. Eva Innocente. We follow Eva, and she is leading this crew. It's her ship, she owns the ship, and they usually do like cargo runs and little things like that, delivering things, delivering people, but her sister has been captured by like the space mafia, and so she is forced into doing what they want, doing illegal space runs, kind of capturing people, killing people, and she has to see kind of how far she's willing to go, how much she's willing to risk her crew that she deeply cares about. They're more like family than like crew. We have Hispanic representation in here. The author themselves is Hispanic. Also, there are psychic cats. I will say, I wanted more psychic cat than we got. Disappointing amount of cat psyche, but I think that they will feature more as the series goes on. They were very much like, once they were introduced to the story, a consistent background presence. I am a big cat person, so I want more. However, really did enjoy this. It's a lot of fun mixed with a lot of dark and depth. I think it's not the same, but if you enjoy Murderbot, there's a good chance that you'll enjoy this too. It's that same kind of level of world descriptor and funniness as well as seriousness combined, just in a very different writing style. Also, there are quite a lot of phrases in here that are in Spanish. I don't speak romantic languages, so for me, I had started and then just never carried on. Clear sticky notes and translating. Like, literally the first thing is La Sirena Negra. I don't know, man. I know it's Spanish. I know that was an Italian accent. That means the Black Mermaid, which I didn't know. Romance languages are not my thing. So there was a time where I was translating everything that she said. And you will get a little bit more out of this book if you do have that knowledge, because they're like fun. They're usually like insults or like swears and stuff like that. But eventually I did essentially give up on that. I was slumping really hard, and now was not the time for me to try and force my way through like constantly going and translating bits and not being able to just sit and read. So I stopped doing that. I do intend to go back through and translate them all, just so that if I then go and reread the book, they'll be there for me, all translated, and I can just reread and enjoy it with the translations in a language I understand. But they don't take anything away. Like, you can get the gist of the intent most of the time of what they're saying. Like, is it an insult? Is it a swear word? You can kind of get that vibe anyway. But yes, that was like the only issue I had with it, and that is with me and my lack of romance language knowledge. Okay, next book is one that no one's going to want to pick up apart from Carrie, from Caring for Books. I recommend. I'm sorry, I know you're TBR, but I do. So this is The Story of the Earth in 25 Rocks by Donald R. Prothero, and this is essentially the basics of geology in 25? Yes, 25 short chapters. The chapters are like, some of them are like 10 pages, some of them are like 20 pages long. Each chapter is a different geological discovery. They cover some of the very basics, so for example, knowing that tectonic plate movement is a thing. That wasn't confirmed until like the 60s, 70s is when the scientific consensus was that that was a thing. Not that long ago. So it does kind of delve into all of those. It delves also into the human side, which I really appreciated. It definitely tells you the scientific, the geological side of things, but it also mentions the people who found this information out, how they distribute this information, the research that they carried out. It's really, really interesting. I think that each section is the perfect length. to give you a very basic overview. I didn't know all of these, I knew a fair few. The two that I knew the most were Wegener with the tectonic plates and also the section on Vesuvius, and luckily for me Vesuvius was the very first section. I have done a lot of research into it, so I was able to get like a good baseline for where the book was sitting, and yeah, it's done really well. I really highly recommend this if you are at all interested in geology. They also do some other ones. What else have they done? Fossils, dinosaurs, evolution. So I'd recommend taking a gander if you're at all interested. But yeah, this was an absolutely fantastic book. My other half got me. Not something that most people would want, but it is a fantastic addition to my shelves. I was really in the mood for non-fiction, that's why I picked up the Magic and Herb one, and it was just so enjoyable to be sitting and learning in these little sections about things that to me in my lifetime have always just been confirmed as fact, and yet weren't not that long ago. My final read for the month was The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Dear Lord. If you don't know, this is essentially the dark academia book. We follow a group of students. We are following from the perspective of one young man who is not that well off, not very affluent, and he goes to college and wants to fit in with these students who are studying Greek, because he enjoyed studying ancient Greek. He essentially dresses himself up and pretends to be affluent so that the teacher will actually teach him. That is like the most minimum of the problematic aspects of the individuals in this book, was the classism. Everything. The characters, not all of the characters, it's like some of them are different bits, but like there's anti-Semitism, there's racism, there's homophobia, anything and everything that could be bad about a person is in these. The only people that weren't awful were the side characters that we didn't learn enough about. And yet I couldn't put the book down. I read Babylonian last year, and she said, R.F. Kuang said that she was deeply inspired by The Secret History. I could see that in every single page. The vibes were immaculate. I struggled to put this down. Like, I was in a reading slump for like 3 months and I couldn't put this down. It was just, every single person in here is so awful, and yet I could not stop reading about them. There's certain minute moments where Tartt manages to make you feel bad momentarily for one of the characters, and then you remember that they are a shit human being, and then you don't feel bad. It's a very well written book. There's a lot of problematic elements in it that are directly stated. They are the characters are bad, the characters are not good people. I would recommend checking out the content warnings. They will be in the description, as they always are for my videos, because there may be something in there that will trigger you. Highly recommend you make sure. 5 stars. I'm sorry. Like, look man, I'm not speechless. Oh god, the accent came out there. I do not get speechless. Have you seen me on a live show? I don't shut up. Why do you think I made this channel? Five stars. And with that eloquent review, that was my reading in September. So very much a mix, 2 non-fiction, both kind of earth-based, a space opera and a dark academia. Very interesting month. I'm really glad that I read The Secret History and kind of that got me back into the swing of reading, because I have been reading already so far this month, and it's the 5th when I'm filming this, so much. I'm having such a good time. So if you'd like to see what I'm reading, my Gothtober TBR is linked in the cards. That was so much fun to play. And yeah, hopefully this is me out of my slump. So let me know what your favourite book of September was. Now realistically, we know it's The Secret History, but we also know that I have a problem with recommending this. But then these were both fantastic in very different ways. Like, I would not recommend these to the same people unless you're Carrie. So out of the 4 books that I read this month, these were my favourites. And with the drilling that has for some reason started in my estate, that's the end of the video. If you'd like to see how different my October reading wrap-up is going to be from this stack, hint, very different, then please do hit the subscribe button down below. I'd love to see you in my comment section as well, chatting about your favourite books from this month. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!